I hear there are people out there that think the Ridley Report is great. And maybe they're right. But you know, my lighting sucks. To see good lighting and real studio photography, this is the guy you want to know. Tyson Crosby, a Free Stater, inbound to New Hampshire from Arizona. He is a kick-ass studio photographer. If portraits, catalogs, or brochures are in your future, so is Tyson Crosby. At Portraits, he is the bomb. TysonCrosby.com.
All right, standing here with Representative Dan Itza of Fremont, New Hampshire. Pronouncing that correctly?
Correct.
And he's here, you know, one of the relatively rare sites in the State House, a good bill. This is a bill you got to ensure religious freedom in New Hampshire. Can you tell me a little bit about why you're doing it?
Well, I'm doing it because we used to have a standard for religious freedom at the federal level, which said that there had to be a compelling governmental interest to curtail religious freedom, whether it was the height of a steeple or the intervention in somebody's homeschooling for religious purposes, that kind of thing. I believe during the 1990s the Supreme Court dropped that requirement, and so I am seeking to reintroduce it at the state level so that they would require a compelling governmental interest to interfere with religion and religious practices.
Now, is there a fiscal note attached to this bill?
I don't believe so. No, there's not.
Is there any thought that it might conceivably increase or decrease government expenditures?
Nobody has said so.
Okay. And what do you think its chances of passage are?
Probably about 50%. I know that there are some Democrat votes I will have, but these things have been going down pretty much on party lines. So
you think it would tend to be opposed more by Democrats, or?
Yeah.
And why do you think it's needed? Why I mean, it seems like we have a fair amount of religious freedom currently.
Except that we see the legislature proposing and considering bills to curtail, particularly homeschooling, and increasing the power of towns to curtail the actions of their citizens. So, I mean, I want to. This is, I guess, a preemptive strike.
All right. Thanks, Representative. So, go ahead. Okay. Representative Itza is now entering the hearing room where he'll testify in support of this bill that he has sponsored. Dennis Goddard here from the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance to testify in favor of it also.
1185, sir.
This is the Judiciary Committee.
Do we get a differential between...
The person who asked me to submit this bill, it was based upon concerns over homeschooling and those who homeschool for religious reasons.
Representative Soar. Thank you.
Representative, you said that the U.S. Supreme Court dropped the compelling reason standard. Do you recall the circumstances of the case?
No, I do not.
In the first of the Clinton administrations, it was unanimous. I mean, the names are very Boern versus Fiores. Zoning regulations that you basically couldn't tear down the church or significantly modify.
So Dennis Goddard here of the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is testifying in favor of the bill also, even though he's an atheist.
I didn't expect that to be.
As you can see, there aren't very many people testifying on the bill one way or another. But I spotted Claire from the New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union in there. It'll be interesting to see where they come down on this issue. The ACLU is sometimes pro-liberty, sometimes not. So we'll see what they have to say.
Okay, so Claire from the New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union is testifying now. When I get a chance, I'll interview her and find out what her thoughts are. Okay, we're sitting here with Claire Ebel. Am I pronouncing your last name right? Ebel, of the New Hampshire Civil Liberties Union, and it looks like you're kind of on the same side as the Liberty Alliance on this. You favor this bill, the religious freedom bill?
No, I spoke in opposition to it.
Oh, I see. Okay, I must have missed your signature and seen it on the wrong bill. Yeah. What's your opposition to it?
The concern is that while the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of New Hampshire strongly protect individuals' rights to practice their religion, there is also implicit in both of those constitutions of freedom, constitutions of freedom from religion. And the impact of this particular version of RFRA, which has already been defeated in the state of New Hampshire legislature at least twice, would be to, in essence, disallow, for example, zoning decisions based on community issues for churches or religious houses of worship, where secular buildings would not be allowed the same deference. And so it would create a discriminatory practice in zoning in the cities and towns of the state in favor of religious edifices and therefore against secular or all other buildings and companies.
Well, now, I guess both Grafton and Houston, Texas have no zoning. You think maybe just getting rid of zoning might solve the problem, too?
I am not a proponent of the elimination of zoning. I think zoning has an important role to play in our decisions as individuals to live in communities. We do surrender some of our rights when we choose to live in communities, and we accept some of the burdens of living in a community with the surrender of some of those rights, and one of those is zoning. I think that zoning can be misused and has been, and I would hope that when it is that the courts are brought into the fray and that they rule in favor of individual rights when those rights are being discriminated against by zoning. But discriminatory application of zoning does not mean that zoning itself is improper. It simply means that it's being used improperly.
Well, you always know when you're not speaking to a politician because you get a straight answer about a surprise question. All right. Thanks, Claire. I appreciate your time.
It's good to talk with you. I hope to do so again.
Many times, I'm sure.
Excellent.